We are now less than 17 hours from the deadline that Donald Trump put on Iran. 17 hours to the point that he said he would completely destroy the country, essentially hitting all their power plants and their bridges. Iran responded to that threat by hitting a major petrochemical complex in Israel. So their answer seems to be, they're not interested in negotiating. And there's further evidence that they indeed are not interested in negotiating. So it appears that we are on a collision course for all manner of mayhem to break out in Iran and probably throughout the region. Now, a lot of things to take into account. You can expect Iran to strike back with everything they can while they can, but there's other things to factor into this too. For one, now General Petraeus is saying that well, Iran is not going to negotiate because they still see themselves as holding the cards, and the cards he's talking about is the fact that Iran still could control and close the strait. That's what he's talking about. But there's a bigger play here, and I've talked about this in the past, and that is indeed that Iran thinks they can outlast our administration. They think that they can hold out, if they can batten down, and then our administration will go away. And probably the whole topic of attacking Iran will be radioactive, that Trump will lose the House, the Senate, and probably get impeached, removed, along with J.D. Vance, and probably put up for war crimes or tried for various things. The Democrats are out there saying this will be war crimes if the power grid structure is attacked, because there's something of a prohibition against attacking civilian infrastructure. However, power grid and bridges, plants, they've always been targets in military campaigns because they're actually considered dual use facilities. There's a long tradition of that taking place. As you can see in the war between Russia and Ukraine today, that happens a lot. But so, of course, that doesn't stop someone from later making these allegations. If they can try Trump, they might. But it is a rather stark thing to be attacking power plants. So now, the bad side is that the civilians will indeed suffer. The good side from the angle perspective of the war is that you give them a little time after you take out all the power plants. Once the Iranian military has gone through the readily available backup fuel resources for the generators, suddenly they got nothing. Very little means to conduct command and control, maybe even to marshal and launch their missiles and drones. Without power, command, and control, without the communications, suddenly things will fall apart to a higher degree than what they're at today, which could be the prelude if Trump wants to move in with some forces to attempt to take out some of the nuclear fuel, maybe to live up to the request of the United Arab Emirates to retake islands that Iran had previously taken from the United Arab Emirates under the Shah of Iran. And that is, again, Abu Masan and Greater and Lesser Tun Islands, right in the middle of the Strait of Hormuz, which would also be a strategic target for trying to open the Strait of Hormuz, although it's kind of unclear that they could really do that without missile interceptors, as long as Iran has Qasem Island, which is a very large island with 180,000 people living on it, and an underground missile city that's about 1,600 feet under rock. That the only way to really take that out would probably be to send in 82nd Airborne. So there is, Delta forces and the 82nd Airborne probably working together on something like that. That would be a major undertaking. I don't see any kind of land invasion going on, although there's already some people warning that the language that Trump is using is the kind of language he would use to get American psyche ready for perhaps boots on the ground. So, but we don't have the boots to fully take Iran. Like I said, it'd probably take, over 1 million soldiers to do that. You got to remember, Iran still is a much larger, more mountainous nation than Iraq. Iraq was not flat ground, easy to move through. Uh, Iran is nothing like that. So, and also in Iraq, they weren't fighting from the standpoint of religious fervor, thinking they were fighting a religious war. It's very secular. In fact, in Iraq, you actually had troops surrendering to drones, mainly because they were so demoralized from the fuel air explosive bombs that were dropped in their vicinity, turning people to jelly. They just couldn't stand it. But all that aside, this whole thing going on there is going to get interesting really fast because uh, let's just look at it. What could the United States even do this? Because Trump has actually said that he would take out all the bridges and power plants within 24 hours. Now you got to qualify that somewhat and see what really matters. We're going to rock and roll. Something is probably going to be rocking and rolling hard in just a matter of less than 24 hours. We're talking, we got actually at this point 16 and 3/4 hours to that deadline commences. That's how close we are right now. 16 and 3/4 hours. So if you look at it from that standpoint, you got to ask, well, how many power plants does Iran have? Well, they got hundreds, but there's 98 major power plants with a capacity of 1,000 megawatts or more. So those would probably be the primary targets. Let's hope that it's not including for sure nuclear reactor, because that would be a catastrophe if that one was hit, but they might hit the transformer sites around it. They're looking at also being able to drop, the metallic shrapnel on the power lines. They're talking about discombobulators being used, whatever that thing is. So, yeah, the total, so we got, like I said, something in the order of 98 major power plants with a capacity of 100 megawatts or more. That's definitely within the capacity of the United States and Israel to strike. And like I said, there's hundreds totally where they go down the food chain to take out the smaller ones, especially when they're aiming at bridges too. Maybe, maybe not. This is something that still remains to be seen as to what they would go for in that regard. I'm having some problems here on my computer again, as usual. So anyway, so the power plants, 79 of them are natural gas, 14 of them are hydroelectric. There's two kind of mixed, combined, different fuel cycles. There's one major coal-fired plant. Of course, the nuclear power plant, then be sure, let's hope that that's not taken out. And there's one fuel oil plant. You would think in an oil-rich country like Iran, they would have a lot of fuel oil top plants, but I guess they don't. So, and again, 80 to 86% of the electricity produced is using natural gas, though. So that's kind of strange. But anyway, so if you look at that one, now let's think about bridges and infrastructure. Totally within Iran, there's something like 300 to 360,000 bridges, technical structures. This includes culverts and overpasses. I don't think they're going after culverts, and that's too many targets to go after. But large scale bridges greater than 100 meters, there's only 185 of those. If those are taken out, that would be a major impact on transportation within Iran. So if you look at bridges with spans of greater than 50 meters, well, you can add another 42 bridges to that. Technical structures over 20,000 bridges have a span of 10 meters. Well, if you look from that standpoint, United States and Israel have shown already and demonstrated in the war they have a capacity for hitting about 2,000 targets a day. So they could probably take out the major power plants and the major bridges within a day and have a lot of spare change. So they might start working on these smaller spans, but it would take them about 10 to 12 days to take those out. Now, we're not talking about the culverts and 380,000 360,000 some odd different bridges and technical structures. Again, we're talking about stuff that has a span over 10 meters. That's a lot of bridges. If you're going after 20,000 bridges, that's a lot, because he said he's going to get them all. But then again, you have to qualify that as probably bridges of a certain size. You know, that's a whole lot. Now, well, railway bridges, there's actually about 11,000 railway bridges in Iran. However, you don't have to take them all out to take a rail line out. You can take out one on each rail line and take out a rail line. So how many is that? That's a good question. But in any event, you can see how within a couple of weeks they could actually pretty much get this job done, and they could really hit the major ones in the first day. Would he step back? You know, is the reason he's declaring one day is so he can step back and say, okay, how you like that? You want to surrender now? Or, you know, you want to take some more? I don't know. Will you extend another deadline and give them another shot? There's plenty of people out there, so there's no point in negotiating with these guys. There are sources out there that say no negotiation will work. They never honor any negotiation. They always view a negotiation as a chance to just buy time to go back to the original agenda and keep doing what they were doing. And so far, historically, that seems to prove true. So the question is, what happens? And there are those who are urging no negotiation, just bomb them till the regime changes, or just bomb them as far as you can and then leave and leave it to others. With the idea maybe the internal resistance will stand up. And, you know, I was in favor of giving weapons to and I still am, to the citizens there. Apparently, there was some effort to do that, to use the Kurds for it, but the Kurds apparently had already felt betrayed by the administration, so they just kept the weapons for themselves instead of using them to try to take them to the protesters. So apparently that route don't work. Maybe the Turks had put too much pressure on the Kurds, and apparently the Kurds had felt left high and dry by some of the things the administration had done in the past, so they weren't willing to go in and take the risk. I don't know. Will they have a change of heart? I don't know. But in any event, so if the Kurds do move in, that's going to upset Erdogan, but I don't care, because Erdogan's holding a lot of people against their wills anyway. And Turkey's not been exactly nice to the Armenians, if you've not ever heard of the Armenian massacre. It should be massacres with S. Anyway, so a lot of stuff is happening in history, and a lot of these countries, like Turkey, still have these tendencies to this day. All that said, so what we see here is this is a lot of targets. It's not impossible to hit them, because, you know, already it's been said it's probably the United States alone has probably hit 12,000 targets since the beginning of the war. So the idea of going after 2,000 major bridges plus power plants is definitely within the realm of possibility. I'm not saying whether it's good or bad. I'm saying this could happen. But when you also consider that this might be the key to really getting the regime's command and control to fall apart, to enable a team to go in and take the enriched nuclear materials, you can see there may be other strategies to this to enable them to actually take the islands that Qatar wants back. Now, here's another thing you got to factor in. We want out. Most Americans don't. They want this war to end, and end right now. Just like zip it up and come on. However, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, especially United Arab Emirates, more than India, and Saudi Arabia. Several of these Gulf Coast countries, I think Kuwait and several others are in on this, are actually telling Trump administration they want them to smash the regime, to keep going, to hit it hard and hit it harder, to not quit, to not walk out. See, one of the reasons I offered way back when this whole war started that these guys weren't military getting involved to start with was they were trying to not show their cards, and because they were afraid the Trump administration would do that, leave early, and then suddenly create more animosity between them and Iran. But at this point, I don't think they really care anymore. But the thing is, these countries don't have much of a military. So, and the other thing that kind of goes back to this idea of hitting their infrastructure, key infrastructure like bridges and power plants, is that Iran's already been doing that. That's what Iran just did. They just struck a petrol facility in Israel. Iran has been striking petrol facilities in Saudi Arabia. They've been striking desalination plants, key critical civilian infrastructure in the Gulf Coast state area, the Persian Gulf. They've been striking hotels in Dubai. Definitely striking and hitting civilian infrastructure intentionally. So they've already set the precedent for that. Right or wrong, two wrongs don't make a right. I agree with that. But if an overall military standpoint, um, that may be the only way to force the hand. But again, how do you force their hand? That, like I said, they're planning to outweight Trump. That's been their strategy to start with. Can they succeed with it with a population there finally rise up once they're weakened enough? Can they be weakened enough to enable the population? I don't think so, not really, without some other assistance to the protesters. I think the protesters are going to need some major direct assistance in a way of arms. This is why we need a Second Amendment here in this country, because these kind of governments like to take over in the world, and the first thing they do is take away your freedom to bear arms, and then they crack down on the civilian population after having done that. Now we haven't seen that part happen in the Western countries so much of late, mainly because they want to take our arms first. Then they could sweep in all their socialism stuff. Because as long as the United States is the holdout, they don't want to play their hand too heavy. But you can see how it goes in a lot of these other countries. Oh, we just want to take this. We're not coming after your hunting rifles. We just want to take this little gun. Oh, we just may take that one. Oh, that one's scary. That one's painted black. We got to take that weapon. Black rifles. Oh my gosh. So, but you can see it don't stop. It just keeps going. Once you let the camel's nose in the tent, the rest is sure to follow. And that's the way it is with people that want to attack our Second Amendment. They want it all. Don't make any bones about it. They will tell you, oh, we'll never take your hunting implements. Yeah, right. What are they doing in Canada right now? And once they take that, all your other freedoms start going poof. I mean, just look how in Canada they're going after people's freedom of speech. Look how they're doing it in England, the United Kingdom, pardon me, and other parts in Europe. So you think they wouldn't do that? Of course they would. Of course they would. So these are all things to take into account. And we got to look at, the bigger pictures. I mean, why did the war happen? Why did it happen now? Probably because Iran was at the weakest point they were ever going to be in. And they were really producing lots of missiles and drones. And and maybe could have been close to a breakout in nuclear materials. Apparently they had ICBM on the drawing boards, according to intel sources, or whatever that is or isn't worth. But um, it was one of those things. If you're going to do it, I guess it was a time, according to some analysts. My biggest beef was, look, we're using up all our munitions we'll need if we have to deal with China, and though Iran is a threat in some fashion, China is a far bigger threat. However, there's a bigger geopolitical picture, and Iran is part of China's bigger chessboard being played against the West and the U.S. and Israel both, of course. So, and that from that lens, you can see if you're trying to reset the entire global chessboard, then this war takes a different light entirely. China is the biggest existential threat to us right now. I've covered this in more than one video now where I've talked about the bio threat from China. And that is something that no number of missiles is going to take care of. Our FBI needs to be woke up to do their stinking job. That's something that's kind of rare in federal agencies. But in any event, cats are tearing something up. They got my attention. I hear things breaking and crashing. Anyway, all that aside, uh, these are things to bear in mind about the operation. Now, I'm not reading the chat room just yet. I'll come into it in a little bit to see what everybody's saying. Just bear with me a few minutes. I got it open in my phone so that if I do get a super chat directly, I'll be able to see it. That's what I'm doing here. I'm trying. I got sidelined the other night. I opened up the chat room first in front of me, and I got drawn into conversations and didn't get the news first. So, for the benefit of the people that my coffee club drinkers in the morning, they like to watch my videos in the morning. I'm hitting the news first today. Then I'll come to the chat, and then we'll do the egg guesses we want to do to wrap up. All right. All that aside, I'm going to show you some articles first. But before I go into the depth of these news articles, and we're not going to do as many tonight, I'm trying to get done a little faster tonight than normal. I've done a series of live sessions today already. Uh, so I'm just trying to knock this out, knock it out quick. The reason I come in here tonight is because we're on the very cusp of this. It might be that this is ongoing before I ever come back for another live session, at least on this channel. I might do a live session tomorrow on Galactic Grays because I think about 1 p.m. my time tomorrow, which is 4 p.m. Eastern time. You got to remember, I'm Mountain Standard Time, which is the same as Pacific Daylight Time. So right now I've got the same time as people out on the left coast, but in West Wokistan. If Chewy Weather's in the house, he'll appreciate that. But the situation is, so I may be on Galactic Greg's at that time. But after that, before I normally do these videos on this channel, this stuff will be started. Whatever it is, will probably be started. Unless for some reason the Iranians come out and says, okay, let's make a deal. Or Trump gives them another deadline or something else develops. We'll have to see how it all plays out. But I think Trump is pretty serious this time about launching it, given the kind of language he's used, which is a little off color, admittedly, but maybe he's figured that's the only thing they'll understand. Maybe he's trying to convey the seriousness of it. I don't know. But things look like they're about to go down and go down fast. So these are things you need to be aware of. I still think Iran's going to hold back use of sleeper cells for now, at least initially, because they still think the big game is taking Trump out. And if they play their hand with sleeper cells, it'll turn the public for Trump. And that's the last thing they want to do, unless they think they got no other choice. That's that's like their nuclear weapon. That's like their nuclear weapon against us. And in terms of major attacks, now long actors, that's a different matter. Long actors are different matter. So you still got to be situationally aware here in this country. But if Iran thinks they're really done for, that it's over, that they got no other choices, they may activate those sleeper cells. And we just found out there's something like 1,000 of these sleeper cell candidate members up in Canada just waiting to come down south of the border. Of course, whatever. So let's get into the news articles. Before we get into the news, though, I'm going to show you something that can help me and my channel and help yourself immensely to get away from all these toxins we've been talking about in the past. So let me go and hit a share button. Ding, 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 ding. Hang on. Here we are, guys. So as you know, I've done a series of videos, and I'm going to do more of them because there's plenty of material. There's just like I've searched the internet. There is so many articles about the toxins and the everyday products we use. It's like an endless well. Now, I don't hit them too often because not that many people watch them. That's the crazy thing. People aren't watching these videos as much, but it's something you ought to be watching because you need to be aware of this stuff that you're putting on your body every day, be it hand lotion, dish detergent, shampoo, makeup for you ladies, which not many of you really need that. Some of you like to use it, but just like these everyday consumer goods that we use are full of toxins. Even the toothpaste that you're giving your children, the stuff that's made for kids this, kids that, is full of heavy metals. 90% of the brands are full of heavy metals. I've covered that in a previous video. And I've covered, something broke. All right, what are y'all doing? Something broke. Oh my gosh. Nothing's safe when my attention's taken here on the computer. So anyway, here's the thing. The Yeah, I've only got one room in this house, basically. There's a door that goes outside. There's no other doors in this house. It's a tiny home. It's a tiny home with three wild cats running around. Anyway, all that aside, sorry for digressing, but that's my explanation. All right, so here's the thing. Um, these companies have determined that it's cheaper to settle lawsuits, settle out of court, maybe even to deal with a lawsuit, than it is to give you good product. Why? Because these ingredients make their products a lot cheaper. A lot of these 550 different brands used to have good stuff, but they all got bought out by these big corporations. And the big corporations have changed the formulation on a lot of these products. And there's a lot of common formulation used throughout them. So that's how they uh, substitute cheaper stuff, substitute other chemicals to make it taste good, and other chemicals make it last longer on the store shelf. That's all money in their pockets. So to heck with you, but up with their profits. That's all they care about. And these people don't care about us anyway, because these 12 companies I just showed you primarily have controlling interest in them through the three big asset management companies, which, according to this article, dominate U.S. corporate control. Well, the biggest one of them being your dear friends over at BlackRock, Larry Fink, who also runs the House of Klaus. Oh my gosh. Some of y'all hear that. So I come up with a way to get out of that. I come up with a way to switch away from that for you guys. And you can go to switchwithgreg.com. And at switchwithgreg.com, you will see what we're talking about here is a family owned company right here in the good old US of A. Everything is made here in America. It's promoting American jobs. The products are non toxic, they are tested extensively for consumer safety. They don't use these chemicals. And furthermore, even the cleaners are plant-based products. No, the cleaners don't use grain, so you ain't got glyphosate in the cleaners. Somebody tried to say that the other night. So, in any event, guys, and even most of the snacks are more like nuts and fruits. So it's a good thing with that stuff. So all that aside, just come in here. If you fill out this form, hit the submit button. This is my website. It don't go out everywhere. It just comes to me and goes to, I got an assistant, a friend from the community who's helping me. She will get in touch with her. Name's Lisa. She's a good lady. She's very thorough, very helpful. So, and this one goes nowhere else. The stuff goes nowhere else. So that you can rest assured. All right, all that said, let's move on. Switchwithgreg.com. Let's move into the news now. Well, if the stuff will click. Get out of there, cat! Cat is trying to climb up and tear stuff out of the wall sockets. Oh my God. Everything is to be attacked by these cats. Jesus. I don't know what they broke over there. Something broke. I didn't think there was anything that could break. Yikes. Oh, yeah. They're too little to turn outside yet. That's too bad. I don't know. They may have to take their chances with the coyotes here soon. All righty. But none of them come up around the house around here. I got cameras out there where no coyotes has come around my house in months. Not in the last 4 months, I'm sure. Anyway, all that aside. So a former NATO commander says, hey, these guys still have cards to play in Iran. That's why they're not surrendering. That's why they're not giving in to the appeals to negotiate. Of course, I've said, even if they did, is their negotiations worthwhile? That's what others are questioning. So this is coming from James Stradivaris, former NATO commander. He's saying that these guys still have their cards to play and they're not going to surrender as long as they can control the Strait of Hormuz. And I would say it's even bigger than that. He just showing one card. I mentioned the others that I think that their real strategy is to try to outweigh Trump, because they know that the markets are turning south, the pressure's on Trump, and the midterms are coming up, and munitions are low. I've covered those three items in the past. So I don't know, these cats or something trying to climb. They're trying to climb things you wouldn't think they could climb. So, in any event, so the Israelis are, pardon me, guys, for being distracted. But when my house is getting destroyed, it catches my attention when things break. Some of the crazy things these cats are doing. Anyway, so I come. I wish this stuff would scroll like I want it to. I have to go to the scroll bar to pull it. The pad ain't working. Two fingers on the pad trick. Don't work. Pad's burning out. So um, that was not what I opened up. Israeli military hits, says it hit another petrochem and ran. So they're going tit for tat. They're going back and forth. You know, Israel's hitting stuff there. They're hitting stuff in Israel. And that was not the article. Sometimes you open some of these websites and their articles update. You open it for a specific article. When you come to it, the article you open up for ain't there anymore. That's one of those. So Trump threatens to take out all of Iran in one night, from blackout bombs, and that includes like the stuff with the metal shards that would go down across the power lines and short circuit them, to discombobulators. Now, it says here's what it means, but we're not going to scroll into that in Fortune magazine here because you got to pay them a subscription to see that. But I did read it in another place. All right. I got a news aggregator program that I can read articles for that I can't read them when I get on the actual websites. So, and Iran says, hey, we're going to attack civilians throughout the Middle East and civilian infrastructure if you attack us. Well, they've already done it, actually. They've already been doing it. Some of their targets are in Israeli oil refinery in Haifa. They've already been attacking over there. Exxon Mobil and Chevron gas facilities in the United Arab Emirates, Abu Dhabi, how do you say that? A national oil company, petrochemical facilities, Bahrain's petrochemical complex, and Citra, and Kuwait's petrochemical complexes. Well, they've already been attacking some of these. That's some of the things they're saying they're going to hit. Of course, they're talking about hitting data centers and things like that too. And even they threatened to hit the desalination plant. So that list is not comprehensive to everything they said they would hit. That's just maybe one of their latest listings. But they've made bigger claims than that. So, and like I said, Iran launches a massive strike on Israel's largest petrochemical plant after Trump made his threat. But then again, Israel's already been hitting some of Iran's. There's another little news tidbit I'll share about the Houthis here in a little bit. It's kind of interesting about the Houthis. It's kind of interesting. So Iran won't budge, ramping up attacks. If they don't budge, yeah. This is what Trump threatened right here. He says he's going to hit everything. It's just another article saying the same thing, but I got some counterpoint. Okay, I don't want to click over. When that starts happening, sometimes it closes what I'm trying to click on. I think that's what happened, man. I just got an article closed. All right, Iran guards say they're preparing plans for a new order in the Strait of Hormuz because they're going to run the Strait of Hormuz from now on, and they'll never let anything connected to U.S. Israel flow through the Strait of Hormuz again, ever. No ships connected. They're going to run it. They're going to run it forever, and none of these ships will ever be permitted through the Strait of Hormuz. And of course, Donald Trump says, we don't use it anyway. So what? So if the stuff is still going out in the global marketplace, it still drives global market prices down. So how much will that affect us after the war is over? Good question. Not as much as some people may think. The problem is there's already a lot of damage baked into our economy because a lot of these supplies, especially in the fertilizer resource feedstocks, are not there right now out in the marketplace like they need to be as we're going into planting season. Helium is one of the things that comes through here. I hadn't really mentioned this, but helium is used to make all kinds of microelectronics. They need the helium in the power plants, and this is what 50% of the world's helium comes through the Strait of Hormuz. So the electronics industry is set to suffer quite a bit over that. So in any event, well, time will tell what comes out of this. Your Iranians who are living abroad in the great Iranian diaspora would like to see the current regime taken out and they would like to go back home. If that current regime is taken out, the Iranians are brilliant people. They are exceedingly brilliant people. If the reprehensive regime goes poof, bye bye, uh, even the fact that the country's been reduced to rubble, they will come out of that real fast and they will have a booming economy before you faster than you'll believe it. Those guys are extremely creative, extremely smart. They have a long history of this. If you look at the Iranians that are living outside of Iran today, the accomplishments they're making in engineering and things like that, they graduate a lot of engineers. And I know some Iranian engineers, they are brilliant. I don't mean smart, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So don't discount what they could do in terms of recovery. And if they're free from the regime, that'll be a good thing. They could really, add to the world economy, the whole. I think they could be a positive force in the world if they can just get the Islamic regime off their necks. Anyway, and then they would be pro-Western at that point if they can accomplish that. So uh, now this article is pointing out one problem. We've been bombing a lot of places. And apparently it's been mainly just hitting the entrances to these places. And apparently Iran just digs out in a matter of a few hours and goes back to using the same uh, drones and missiles that we thought we destroyed because we just knocked the entrances to a lot of these tunnels out. So that ain't working. That's not working. Just taking a lot of those kind of hits really don't pay off. And that's why some are saying, hey, we need to go in and hit them even harder. Now, this article here is one of these articles that talks about hitting them harder. I do arrange these articles to try to tell the story in case y'all haven't noticed. I read them and then I try to pull them up in a manner that makes coherent sense. Of course, sometimes I mess up ordering things, think I got them in order, and sometimes I accidentally close stuff. But this is what happens. So I'm trying to put together a coherent story out of all these various sundry articles that bounce around like a ping pong ball. and in the movie Roger Rabbit, maybe Roger Rabbit himself after he had a drink of scotch and bouncing off the walls. Anyway, so the taken out of Ayatollah Khomeini, it claims this opening act here. But this is one of the articles that goes, and what gives Khomeini's death significant, particular doctrinal significance, is that he had 2 or more decades of publicly framed weapons of mass destruction, including nuclear and chemical, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, what this really goes down to, though, is Islamic just war theory. The Islamic conception of war begins with a premise different from the caricatures often portrayed onto it. Classical Islamic thought does not treat war as unbounded field of religious violence. Rather, it regulates the warfare through a moral, legal framework, the Quran, whatever. But in the end, these articles do go on to state that, hey, uh, you got to deal with them. They'll come back. I'm not going to read the whole article, but that's the bottom line is that they will come back. They will negotiate, but they go, now what? Oh my gosh. They will negotiate. Yeah, they run whenever they do that. They know that's not right. But then they run back to it. Stupid, crazy cats. They know I'm pinned down here. I'm going to have to surprise them. They do more mayhem when I'm on the computer here, especially if I'm in a meeting or doing a live session. And they know when they can get away with stuff. Crazy cats. Anyway, uh, so it's been reported that while we were trying to rescue the airmen, if y'all hadn't heard, we dropped a major bunker buster on the IRGC headquarters. And it's thought it took out a lot of their key commanders, like another big assassination event. And maybe this was done at the same time to discombobulate them against their search for the colonel who was down. It's also been said that we were doing some other operations just to distract them. Along those lines, quite a few operations. But apparently, we did lose some aircraft in that operation. Now, it was claimed that we actually destroyed our own aircraft because they were damaged and we didn't want to fall in the right hands. And Iranians claimed we shot them down. The fact that they were all next to each other might reinforce the idea that we actually burned them, because if they shot them down, they wouldn't all be clustered in one area. So they probably found them a safe landing zone. People got out. That is protocol. If your aircraft isn't going to make it, and it probably already was shot up, that you don't leave it in enemy hands. So you would want to land in some safer area, get the people out, and then do what they did. The fact that all these is like 4 fuselages, including the C-130, burned out. But they don't planes don't crash like that. They don't all just happen to crash in the same spot. That's not how aviation disasters occur. Even though that's what the news media will tell you, that's what, of course, the Iranians will tell you. But the fact that they were all out right there in one spot, that tells me that something else happened. Anyway, all that aside, you just got to think these things through a little bit. What really happened and why did it happen? But apparently they were shot up and damaged. The A-10 that was shot down is believed by some. I've heard people, oh, well, we took out their air defense. They're using man pads. Man pads will take down planes. That's a shoulder-fired rocket, you know. The same token, they'll take down planes on U.S. airstrips if the Chinese land next to them, the people that got those. That's another thing we've got to worry about if we get into a war with China. Not to mention all these strange drones that flew over our military bases recently that the military said they couldn't jam them, they couldn't stop them. There was a vast number of drones that flew over our military bases. You don't hear a lot about this in the news. You might have seen a little mention of it, but you believe you me, it's got the local Air Force and other strategic planners in the area really worried. Because suddenly, if somebody's got free access with the drones, and they're not little drones like the drones that were used in Operation Spiderweb, but just little, quadricopters. These are major big drones. And with the little quadricopters, just released from, porta potties on the back of a truck, the Ukrainians took out a lot of major strategic assets, a lot of major strategic bombers that belong to Russia. So now, if you got some serious drones, what could you actually take out? That and man pads. Yeah, our military bases are in peril, especially all this Chinese land all next to them. And guess what? Ukraine didn't own land next to all these bases at that. They just got somebody to drive a truck up for them. You think that couldn't happen? Seems to me that China has a much bigger edge on against us than Ukraine had against those bases they attacked with Operation Spiderweb. That should be a wake-up call. In addition to the biolabs, sleeper cell agents, hacking everything, cameras in our cranes, all that stuff. So that's why I said there's a bigger war going on in a global chessboard. Iran is a piece of that. All right, I digress, but these are things to take into account. NASA, what's NASA got to do with all that? Angie, I got to go through the comments. Maybe you respond to something else. Yeah, I don't think NASA is not flying around unhackable drones intimidating Air Force bases. They wouldn't do that. All right, so my friends, let's move on here. It's been claimed that Iran's supreme leader is unconscious. In fact, they're claiming he's not even aware that there's a war going on. So this article says, they're getting this data from intel people claiming this guy is totally comatose. Hey, I don't know. He certainly hasn't been seen, but maybe he don't want to pop his head up because he might be afraid he'll lose his head. But then again, he could be totally comatose. That would make him the perfect Weekend at Bernie's puppet for the IRGC. So there you go. He may be the Weekend at Bernie's leader of Iran. Kind of like Joe Biden when he was president of the United States. Kind of like Joe Biden or whoever they were putting up to look like him. You know, it's got funny things about the earlobes, different things about that Biden over the last few years. I don't know, strange stuff. So Houthis decided. Now here's what it says. I'm going to tell you something interesting about the Houthis. I was talking about them starting to attack, but guess what? They're only attacking Israel. They're not attacking the Red Sea and shipping in the Red Sea, at least not yet, although they had kind of mentioned shutting down the Red Sea again, the Bab El Mandeb Strait, what do you call that strait there? But right now they're saying, no, we're not going to attack the United States because we got a treaty with the United States. We got a ceasefire, basically. And so apparently they're interested in keeping that ceasefire in place. They don't want the United States to pound them again. So apparently the pounding, the beating they took had some effect. I'm kind of surprised. They're actually restraining themselves from attacking U.S. interests, even though they're supporting Iran. So that's kind of interesting. Kind of interesting. Very interesting, in fact. So maybe the beating they took finally had some effect. Can that work in Iran? Probably not. But that's a very interesting little tidbit in what's going on over there. Uh, Now, we're going to change topics here a little bit. Musk says there's great things in every culture, and a global melting pot would be terrible. He says, we don't want German culture to disappear. Because maybe you'll have some bratwurst and beer. But seriously, every culture on earth, he kind of said this, there's great things in every culture. There are. There's things to celebrate. There's traditions. There's language. There's foods, clothing, just color, characteristics, character. Every culture on earth brings to the table. And all of those are valuable. They have a beauty and a greatness in and of themselves and something to be celebrated. Well, you know what the WEF and the globalists want is to meld everybody together. They want to destroy these cultures. That's why they want massive immigration going on worldwide, especially into the West, who is the last bastion of trying to resist their globalist takeover, basically. So he said, no, this needs to be celebrated and preserved. And I'm sure there's some people, traditionalists in Europe, who would take that same notion and maybe want to get rid of the leftists that have been sucking up the House of Klaus like French President Macaroni. So, yeah, that's my name for him if you haven't noticed. If you're new to the channel, I'm saying that on purpose. Anyway, Macaron. Macaroni. I like that better. It's better. He's a noodle. He's a noodle. Macaroni. Anyway, so hey, I mean not Trump. Musk has also said, hey, this whole notion that we got too many people is a bunch of horse manure. He said we need more people. He says people need to be breeding or having babies. Let's put it that way. uh, that we're facing some severe demographic problems by letting the birth rates drop. And I think he's right. He's right. And we're nowhere near the carrot. We got 8.3 billion people, according to some estimates. And some people go, well, the Earth only supports 2 billion people. I can show you how you can use this universal habitat concept I got and way more people on Earth. Well, not even a lower carbon footprint than what we got today. They cry about resource and all that stuff. You don't need all of that. Anyway, all that said, it can be done. It can be done. Alrighty, my friends, let's move on to another article here. This one is another topic, but one that should take note. There's a brand new super volcano forming somewhere under the Western Pacific Ocean. And a super volcano is a volcano that basically could end civilization should it erupt. So we got too many of those on this planet. Another reason to have universal habitats. But you're let alone a miniature spaceship right here on Earth. But it's also one of the justifications for getting some people off this third rock from the sun. It's like the ultimate prep to colonize space. And that doesn't mean taking over indigenous peoples because there's no such thing up there. I want to open this up. Oh, yeah, I just want y'all to make sure you don't forget and look at some of my videos that's out here that I've been putting out, like this Chinese biothreat videos. You need to watch that. There's some of my product videos there. And some, on this line, it always shows some old stuff too. But yeah, do check out my videos on my channel here. I'm going to end stop the share because we have gone through the main part of the news and we've done it within an hour. So for the coffee club drinkers in the morning, we've completed the news. So you can go about your business, go to work, whatever. And I'm going to glance to the chat room probably real fast because I don't want to be up all night. I've got very little sleep the past week. And that's been starting to kick me. I'm getting a little harder to live that way these days and here in my younger years. Anyway, we got some green hearts, some Angie Hance. I am lucky to be here to be listening. Oh, something happened. My girl was about to go into Zoomies. What? All right, I'm gonna read that in a second. I'm gonna scroll at the top. See Shelly, Mag Rising from Alaska, double AA, Ohio, Ohio, Bulldog, Dovely. There's a good, interesting name. New Days in Fast Pilgrim, Tim Casper, Okie Water. Okay, this ain't going to scroll again. Let's see if I can use the pull down here. Jason Smith, Greg, I heard an artillery unit from Arkansas got sent in the Middle East. Well, artillery unit, that's some pretty serious stuff. You would expect the 82nd Airborne. You expect maybe the Delta Force to go in, and then the 82nd Airborne, they could go in together, of course. And then you get artillery units installed. Typically, you'd expect. Now, I'd say, the Patriot missiles were always figured they want to operate at the rear lines, to rear areas, because they're shooting missiles down. They don't need to be up front. My son was in a Patriot unit that was right at the very forefront, the tip of the spear, moving into Iraq. And it went all the way to Syria in the second Gulf War. They was not in the rear lines. They were in the front, leading the charge with a Patriot missile unit of all things. That was kind of not what you'd expect. So, artillery unit could go in early. Now, I know at Fort Bragg, they had some airborne artillery units. From Arkansas, the Guard, you say it was a Guard unit? Let's see, go back. Well, you didn't say. Is that a Guard unit, Jason, or from a base? I would expect, now maybe they will be, artillery, you don't normally have such long range. You expect they're using artillery. They're maybe wanting to put them on islands. I don't know what good artillery would do on Cason Island. That's interesting. That's an interesting deployment, artillery unit. Very interesting deployment. Now, are they like mobile howitzers or the long range guns or are these short artillery? Yeah, it could be the longer range stuff. Still, artillery's range is more limited than the missile ranges. So, but some artillery units these days carry missiles. So that's interesting. But if it's a Guard unit, holy smoke. There's talks about I guess that was one of the articles I accidentally closed, thumbing through my articles. There was a former Trump administration person who said that the kind of language Trump is using is language that he would use to get the population kind of desensitized to bigger operations over there, which would eventually include boots on the ground. Talk of an artillery unit kind of brings that notion up. I don't know. Tell me more, Jason. I'll be scrolling down to the bottom here in a little bit. I heard Trump lunch tonight. see if I can catch it. Some of my latest news here. Ding, 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 ding. Israeli's already been hitting some. Just a bunch of articles saying that it could be war crimes. Is all I'm saying right now. Trump's Iran threat is a Blinken red alert. Oh, Blinken red alert. There's an interesting article that's popped up since I started stringing all these up. Just Trump being Trump. Oh, well. Oh, I like where that article. That's why I gotta get done saying there, guys. All right, let's see. Hey, Arnold, 28. Hey, we got Kim Possible in the house. How you doing, Kim? Haven't seen you in a while. Justin Kizer. All right. Good to see some faces we hadn't seen in a while, or see some names in the chat here. Oh, I'm trying to pull something up and I'm in the wrong place. Dun, 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 dun. Flash Gordon. Oh, that's not where I want to be. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Well, we got a donation. Hey, Kim made a donation. Whoa! A very generous donation from Kim Possible. $100 donation from Kim Possible through my website, greengregs.com. She went there and hit the donation button. $100 salute, Kim. Thank you. Thank you. I saw her in the chat room. I thought I better check because a lot of times she gives me donations. That one is especially generous. Thank you, Kim. I greatly appreciate it. Wow. Wow. I greatly appreciate it, Kim. So what's this? Let's say she's saying something about travels here. Um, Getting ready to leave for work. Oh, okay. Um, wow. Yeah, safe travels to work. Thank you. So I would love that. New days. What was that? Kim, when spring finally breaks, we should meet. Oh, you guys close to each other? Well, that would be great. Rogue Demagogue. Countries around the world will rethink manufacturing in other countries for the cheaper labor. Let's hope so. Uh, we need to do it because we have lost our uh, manufacturing capability, and that really hits us on the ability to fight a war, to defend ourselves, really big time. That is a huge issue. Military readiness, because America's won every modern war's won as a war of attrition, which means we always outproduced our adversary. Now, how do you deal with that when China's producing so much more than us, given they're our biggest threat? 5 miles. Well, it's good to know you don't have to go far. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see. Shelley said 5 miles. I see countries going nuclear power and reshoring factories to avoid trade as much. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Quit and try. Good to hear that, Kim. Sean McAfee. I hope you, Kim, are you still in the house? Hope you heard my thank you. She's leaving. Yeah. Shoot, I gotta hit that coffee. I got a few drops left in here. See what I'm saying? I gotta go quick tonight. Kim, I hear you. I don't like driving to big cities either. Man, every time I have to go in a big city, I'm just, I don't like it. I never have. I had a, uh, I drove from Alaska to Alabama And I chose to drive through West Wokistan, down the left coast, because I wanted to see the country. I thought it might be my best chance ever to see the country. And I did see a lot of places. And I had my speedometer cable blew out in the Yukon Territory. Well, guess what? I did not stop in Van. I tried several places on the way to find the part, and I couldn't find it in any of the smaller towns. But when it came to Vancouver, Seattle, and Portland, I drove right through them. I wasn't about to stop and try to hunt anything in those cities. I just left an area where it was 100 miles to the nearest red light. I wasn't wanting to stop in some big city. I'm still like that. I don't want to stop in big cities. I don't even like to stop in Albuquerque. Afraid I might take a wrong turn when I drive down I-40. That's not gonna do is take a wrong turn in Albuquerque. But anyway, so yeah, I go through. I don't want to stop. But I went all the way to Eugene, Oregon before I pulled over and got myself the part. Found a Ford dealership there. They had what I need. And yeah, I had to put a lot of transmission fluid in that transmission, driving with that thing blown out. But I'm with you, Kim. I'm with you on that. I hope you're still in the house and heard my gratitude for your major donation. Wrote them a guy got an interesting question. What'll happen to China then? Maybe take the wind out of their sails. Now they are roboticized and heavy, and that might serve them for making up their demographic losses and be able to take care of the old people. But yeah, if something takes the cell out of China, it's not going to make me cry. Okay, got to go drive. I'll be listening. Well, I hope you heard me, Kim. Since you're listening, but don't have a wreck. Be careful. If listening to us puts you at risk, don't do it. I love you, listen, but I want to keep you around. We don't lose you. In 1908, they were riding camels in Persia with no electricity. Then they discovered oil. Well, they do have quite a history, though, of innovations over there. Uh, Satan is everybody's enemy. Well, that's true. Stop by to drop a chihuahua, a thumbs up. Chihuahua, is that what you're saying, Rick? Uh, Basically, we gave trillions to cavemen. Oh, got a Yankee from New York as president. Guys, that's why I said you don't trust him. He's a New York billionaire. That always makes me think twice. He's a New York billionaire. Yeah, he makes it sound like he's from Alabama, but he's still a New York billionaire. I can't quite forget that. He used to pal around with, even before I knew about Epstein, the fact that he palled around with the Clintons. Yeah, it's like, yikes. So that's what I always tell you, trust no man. Our cats like to play with small paper balls, crumbled up marble size. Yeah, I got a few cat toys here, and they'll play with them for like a day, and then they go tearing the house up again. So, yeah. Well, screw me, guys. Sarah Adams talks about the State Department still sending taxpayers' money to those NGOs. We'll need to stop that, which are allowed to enter the USA and become planners from. Yeah, NGOs are terrible. They've stopped a lot of that, but apparently some of that's still going on. Okay. Well, the deep state's going to do everything they can to keep the deep state running, even if it's under the table. A lot of stuff has been ruled against them, thankfully. Best cat toy is a dead bird. I believe you, but I don't want a dead bird in the house. Now I got a couple of things. Got some little feather tassels hanging from a string on like a fishing pole from a central mast. Oh, that occupied them for a full day, all three of them. But now they got used to it. They just play with it every now and then. Uh, oh, you didn't say dead bird. You said a da bird. DA. See, I read that as being dead. Was it right or wrong? Middle Eastern countries, African, Somalia. Okay. Feather at the end. Yeah. I got another little wand with a feather at the end too, but they tend to drag it off and hide it from me from time to time. It's about more than oil. It's a religious thing for the cleric regime in Iran. It's a religious thing with them. Anyway, let's see here. Just like bad kids. Yeah, but kid kind of relate a little better than a cat when they've done something wrong. You can tell it kid, and they'll connect the dots. So if you swat them, they'll know why they got a cat. I'm not too convinced that they know why. I don't know. Spoil the cat, right? Spare the rod and spoil the cat. Well, I still get on to them. They know there's areas they're not supposed to go. They don't do it when I'm around. But as soon as I go to bed, they're up here walking around on my tables and counters. They don't do that when I'm out here. Well, they've been running expansionist holy war since the 700s AD. Man, that's something called the Immortal Guard. Well, that's an interesting take, Rogue Demagogue. Tell us more. Excuse me. Gen X Awaken says, LOL. Why not? You got to go in anyway. Go in. Oh, we talking about Iran? We were surrounded by tiny hats. Oh, what's that mean? Tiny hats. Don't mind the weird orbs and drones, people. Oh, strange lights in the sky. The Immortal Guard are the true Persians of Iran. Okay. RGC is more Arab. They did bring in some Arabs from Iraq to attack the protesters. I don't think people run the IRGC is Arab or Persian. For those that don't know, Iranians are Persian mostly. Now, Persian is kind of loose too because uh, they are a people of themselves. They're not Arabic. But the core Persian tribes really conquered a lot of other tribes that lived in the various mountain valleys, but they're all still pretty related. They're not Arabic. Ah, ah, so what's going on with NASA, Angie? Brought NASA up. Pardon me, guys, for yawning. I have not got much sleep lately. BlackRock about to hand the retirees the bag. Yeah, I don't trust nothing from BlackRock or anything they control. Dark, all. I'm trying to read it. Dark, yeah, something recording. So I'm truly afraid where this goes if it escalates further. The world we know's at stake. This goes deep. Old ancient knowledge. Okay, this ain't scrolling again. Yeah, Jarvis better read God's guys. Are you going to get out of Cocoa? Are you in Cocoa Beach? Are you in Florida? Higher ground. That's always a good place to go for a higher ground. Kim Possible. Greg, this is toward a new computer. Well, thank you. We don't want to miss any of the good information and you put out and send you. Well, thank you very much, Kim Possible. That was very generous. I'm glad you heard me recognize you for donating that. I was afraid you would be at the door when I was saying this and have missed it. Thank you. Be careful if you're driving. Hope you're already where you're going. Oops. How come this is scrolling the way it is? Kittens want to see what's all this stuff on the table. Curiosity killed a cat, or was it 22? Depends on how much stuff they get into. uh, Coming out of the water, man. Oh. Robert Gordon. Can't sleep either. Well, if I can get myself laid down, I probably will sleep. By near Blue Origin. Oh, Blue Origin. You mean Blue Origin like up in Washington State? Blue Origin's got a lot of plants in Huntsville, Alabama. You know, they're using the old Marshall Space Flight Center test stand. One of them. Oh, wait a minute. Did they blow that one up? They just blew up a bunch of test stands. Oh, they tore down the big vibration stand. I think the motor test stand is still there. The ones Blue Origin's using. Black Rock has the smell of Enron. Exactly. Been there, done that in the late 90s. Exactly, New Days. Trump won't let us know what the heck they are, where they're from. You're talking about those Johnson? No. And that is interesting. Bezos here in Cocoa. Okay, Cocoa. All righty, guys. Yeah. Bezos owns Blue Origin. So you're down around Cocoa Beach, Cocoa, Florida. Cocoa Beach is a song community, Southern Beach. Cocoa's further in. Banana River, right, Angie? You close to the Banana River or Indian River? Yeah, the drones are weird. It's weird. There's some crazy stuff going, guys. There's crazy stuff going on. This is the time to have your eyes wide open, head on swivel. If you've never had it, it's the time to get your preps ready. It is time to be situationally aware because things can go out of kilter faster than you can say kitty cat. Anyway, so faster than my kitty cats can jump up and break them. Now they ran and tore stuff up so much they wore themselves out. Now they got quiet. So I'm going to sleep. I'll sleep for 30, 40 minutes and tear the house up again. Go rip roaring through. So, all righty, guys. It's that magic time of the night here. We're going to guess how many eggs I harvested. Go. How many eggs I get from my hens today? We're going to wrap this up. Titusville. Oh, yeah. Titusville. Everybody been in the... Angie, you ever been to Dixie Crossroads? No computer, no live stream through a cell phone. Yeah, I can do it through a cell phone. Signal's a little itsy. All right, we got guesses coming in. Whoa, Angie got it. Angie, the lady is really acting. Angie got it. It's 6 eggs. Angie GB49. Angie got it. 6 eggs. Angie got the guess. That was pretty fast. Pretty fast. Yes, Angie, you got it. You've been on a roll lately. All right, let's see. Now the answer, people aren't guessing anymore, so now we'll start the next guess. How many of these eggs are Easter egger eggs? Uh-oh, not no big number like that. How many are Easter egger eggs? Well, let's see some new guesses. How many eggs are Easter egger eggs? 50 kids. 40. How many eggs are Easter egger eggs? All right, Eddie got it. Eddie. My neighbor, Eddie. And let's see, I don't know if you can see, I'm going to hold this thing up. Eddie got it. Well, Kim, you're guessing it too, but Eddie beat you to that one, Kim. These two here on the end, they are bluish color. Maybe kind of hard to tell in this yellow light, but they are blue. These two right here. These are the Easter eggs. This big old Dominicker egg right there, big spotty one. I got one hand lays the big spotty eggs. It's always the biggest ones, and they're always spotty. And we got some really brown, and then we get a few that's just kind of a light brown, kind of beige. Beige eggs. Oh, hey, beige chickens. We get beige eggs. Anyway, so Lordy guys, we might get done before 2 in the morning. I might actually get in bed by 3 for a change if I really put a hurry on it. How come this ain't clicking? All right, well, let's see here. Oh, Angie, it's your birthday? Really? All right, well, happy birthday, Angie. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Angie. My Easter eggs are blue. You think I was going to say that, did you? All righty, folks. Hey, we've had a nice night tonight. Um, we've got a sick member of our family that we probably should pray for, and that is Judy. So before we go, we'll say a quick prayer for Judy. Do we have any other prayer requests? Pray for our soldiers. Pray for the colonel who was a weapons system officer on the F-15 was shot down. He's injured pretty bad. We can pray for him and all our soldiers overseas. Let's pray these astronauts get home safely on Friday. Let's pray their re-entry works out safe. That's what that's one of the things I'm worried about too. All right, and well, yeah, that's very good, Angie. Angie, are you legal yet? Are you 18? Just teasing. All righty. So, whew, ran out of coffee in this. No, I got still one sip left. Let's see here. Oh, Angie, you're 50th. Oh, yeah, we talked about that earlier today, didn't we? Because I mentioned my 50th birthday was one of my best birthdays ever. I remember that now. You told us earlier today. 50 is a good number. Yeah, you're still a kid. All righty, very good. All right, folks. So, yeah, let's say prayers for old Hillbilly has cancer. Let's pray for old Hillbilly. Definitely. He's been a long-term friend of the family. We don't lose him. Pray for old Hillbilly. Pray hard for old Hillbilly. Let's pray for uh, Judy. Judy's the first person we ever prayed for on this channel. She had the cerveza bug real bad. All right, we'll pray for our troops. Pray that these astronauts get home safe too. Yeah, we'll definitely pray for old Hillbilly. He's been in this channel a lot. All right, let's do it right now. I'm not here to tell you how to pray. This is not a religious channel, but I do believe in the power of prayer, especially when several of us join together on it. So we'll pray real quick. All right. Prayers for you to sleep. Well, thank you, all the son. I think I was about to go to sleep. Lordy, Eddie. And yes, healing prayers for old Hillbilly. He probably needs it the most. Well, guys, been a very eventful day. I've had done several live casts. Of course, today is already the next day. Today is tomorrow. To me, it's still Monday. It's still Monday to me because I hadn't been to bed yet. Alrighty, folks. I am French fried, deep fried, so I'm feeling right now. So thank you, Kim Possible, for the super generous super chat. Thank you so much. Thank you, mods, and thank you everyone for watching. And to all those out there, wherever you are, a good night or a good day, wherever you are, to one and all. And with that, I'm going to say, in memory of Granny Lana, ho, ho, ho,